Hey there YouTube, it's Aisha. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. So we are doing VEDA Day 3 video, and this is looking at the 19 books, so my top 19 books to read in 2019. These are books that I pulled from my shelves that I wanted to really go in on, and the first one that's on the list is Becoming by Michelle Obama. And this was one of the first ones that I actively pursued reading. I started it in January, but I did not rush this one. I didn't need to hurry up and finish it. I ended up finishing it in February. Loved it. 5 stars. I listened to audio and then read along in the book and checking out the pictures of her and her family. Just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I do want to put up a full review for this and share my criticisms and kind of gush about it as well, because I had a lot of feelings about this. And yes, 5 stars, 5 fabulous, fantastic stars. Michelle Obama. Next on the list was another nonfiction, and this was Push Out by Monique W. Morris, and this one is about the criminalization of Black girls in schools. Now, we talk all about the prison to pipeline for Black boys, but the school to prison pipeline for Black boys, but we don't really talk about what happens to young Black girls and how they are also facing the issues of racism in schools, where things like them being loud or them having big, strong personalities and being able to stand up for themselves end up costing them in, suspensions and in in-house suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, how this leads to them being vulnerable to trafficking and how the schools miss that. And it's really fantastic to see like the different things that young girls are facing now, and how the different ways in which we as a society are failing young Black girls, and yet young Black girls end up being the highest educated women in the United States. Those that manage to make it through school do go on to very high levels of education. The ones that make it. But this is what happens to the ones that don't make it, and how they end up in the system, and it just keeps leading to them being, particularly girls that are in the foster care system, how it puts them in a vulnerable position. So this is a really good look at how we're failing our girls. And I think this is a fantastic book for any teacher to read, school nurse to read, school administrator particularly, so y'all can see what your decisions and actions are doing and leading to. This was several years in the making, and I really thought this was very well done. There were a few criticisms that I had, and I will do a full review about this, but I still gave it 5 stars because I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I also listened and read along to this one. So those were the 2 of the nonfiction that I really read and particularly dug into. I still have 7 nonfiction titles on my shelves that I'm going to be working on through the next few months. These titles are heavy topic titles, so I'm not rushing through them. I'm kind of working through 2 already. And, still have 5 more to go. And we still have August, September, October, November, and December to go. So we've still got 5 months. So basically a book a month. Once I finish up the 2 that I'm currently reading. Now for the fiction books that, the rest of this list is made up of. I've actually kicked butt in this section of the list. And one of the first sets that I kicked butt on is the Sylvia Day Crossfire series. Finishing up this series was one of the things that I wanted to do immediately when I thought of this year. And I'm looking at my poster, and I can't wait to show you guys my poster for the year, because so many things that are on there have already been completed. My motivation poster for the year, and I have a picture of this on here so that I would remember that I need to finish these and read more of Sylvia's work. So I read Captivated by You, which is book 4, and One with You, which is book 5. Captivated, which is book 4, and One with You, which is book 5. As you can see, it's a massive tome, and I was scared to pick these up and finish them. I didn't want to finish the series, but I knew my luck would run out eventually on managing not to be spoiled. So I went ahead and read these, and I absolutely loved them. Fantastically done. There were so many criticisms I had of the characters and their cyclical nature of they'd get past something and then in the next book they'd be back to it. And remembering, going to the launch events for this and where she's like, you got to remember to give them grace because what's happening is happening in a short period of time. And I was like, holy crap, I forgot it was a short period of time because there's so many books, so many things happening that you forget that it's within 3 months. And just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. The conclusion to this was so beautiful and so sweet, and just it very rarely do you end a series and get that sense of satisfaction and that the characters will do well whatever happens to them. Generally I want more, but I was very happy with the way this ended. If she gives us more, fantastic. If she doesn't, this was a satisfactory ending to the series. And I highly recommend the Crossfire series if you have not read it. I will say that book 4 was a whole lot of sexiness going on in there. Another book that I wanted to finish a series was The Right Kind of Wrong by Chelsea Fine. I'd read the first 2 books in the series back to back and marathoned them and absolutely loved them. And then I decided I wanted to get this read as well. I owned it, why not get it read? And this was The Right Kind of Wrong by Chelsea Fine. I didn't know going into this was kind of an interracial relationship, because the female character is half black. She's from New Orleans. New Orleans. And my northerner was showing right there. But they're both from New Orleans, and they both, it was fantastic. There was just so much going on in there. Both of them recognized that the other could be their possible soulmate, and it scared both of them so bad, but he was willing to take the time to get to know her, and she was just like all the way the opposite. She was out. She was not involved. And I just love the progression of the story. I do have some criticisms, and I think I wrote about them, and I'll leave links down below, but I really enjoyed this, and I gave this, I think, a 4. Yeah, really enjoyed it. The next one I read was A Brother's Honor by Brenda Jackson. Now, this has been on my shelves pretty much since it came out, and I absolutely enjoyed this. And diving into this one made me push to read the rest of the Granger series. And this is being made into a movie on I can't remember the name. I'll leave a link down below. It's an independent company, Passion Flicks, I think it's called. It's an independent company that makes romance movies. Absolutely enjoyed this. This one is the start of the series that talks about the 3 brothers and what happened to them and how they got where they are. Their father was accused of murdering their mother, and they ended up, freaking hell. I just looked over and realized that I have more books out of place. I'm putting these back on my shelves and realizing books are out of place. Which means I'm going to have to move an entire shelf. I just want to lay down. Because I'm putting in all the books I've read so far, and it means shifting the entire shelves over. Anyway, I read this and absolutely enjoyed it. This was a really good series about the 3 different brothers. I did have a problem with book 2, which kind of seemed to suffer from second book syndrome, but book 3 was fantastic. And of course, the 4th book, the father story, which bridges the gap between this series and the new series, the Protector series, was fantastic. And I will be reading the Protector series to finish up the year. Absolutely enjoyed this. Absolutely enjoyed myself reading the Granger Family, and I highly recommend it. If you're looking for romantic suspense with Black characters, yes. And it was so funny because right before I started reading that, I had read Beverly Jenkins' her series, and I had like kind of put it on myself that I wanted to really read Black mystery, and then these things happened, and I was like, yes. Okay. And then my next book I had on my list to read was Jule. I was unaware that this was a second in a duology, the Granger Family duology. So I had to read the first one, which was Vivid, which I borrowed from the e-library. And I'm definitely getting a copy for my shelves. And then I read this. I absolutely enjoyed this duology. Beverly Jenkins is really fantastic at writing about historical Black towns, about writing about the hope that was alive during Reconstruction, and how badly the U.S. failed at keeping its promises. I mean, we should have known, because they couldn't keep their promises to the Native people, who broke those treaties left, right, and center. So we shouldn't have been surprised, and yet we were hopeful and caught by surprise. And I really enjoyed this. Jule was fantastic. I thought Beverly Jenkins did a fantastic job of weaving in historical accurate facts while giving us a fantastic romance, and with strong characters, strong-willed characters, and introducing us to she was a doctor. Not this one. The first one, Vivid, was a doctor. This one is the brother of the town mayor, the cousin who was raised as the brother of the town mayor. And this is kind of his redemption story. And I really loved it. It was fantastic. And of course, I'm a historical romance fan, because history was one of my favorite things in school. Still one of my favorite things to read about. And reading Black history that's not pertaining to slavery necessarily. It's what happened after slavery. So it's that time where hope was still alive, that things would go right. This is when Black men were being voted into the Republican Party. Not today's version of the Republican Party. Today's version of the Republican Party is what the Democratic Party was during this era. You know, the ones that led to the KKK. So this is the story of those families, and the formation of Black towns, and the start of so much upward mobility of the Black community, and then the temper tantrum that the slave owners and their descendants threw when they realized that they couldn't suppress these people, not legally, but then they started writing new laws because, you know, why not? But fantastic. If you want to read good romance that deals with America during the time after Reconstruction, as well as during the time when people were pushing to keep slavery from being a thing during the Revolutionary War, then you need to definitely check out Beverly Jenkins. So that was another fantastic read. So far I've read 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 19, and I have a really good list of things that I've read. So these are the ones that I've finished, and I still have 12 more to go. Quite a few, you know, nonfiction, 7 nonfiction, and then the rest will be and 5 fiction books, and I'm kind of excited. I've kind of left some of the really good ones for the end of the year, and I can't wait to share that in my another book TBR for what I'll be reading in the final quarter of the year for me. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are on these. I will be doing full reviews, so make sure you check it out. Bye.